Hey thrifters, I'm real excited about my new stereo receiver, an Onkyo TX-RZ820. I'm going to unbox this thing and test it out coming up. A friend of mine found this Onkyo TX-RZ820 on Woot for about $420. If you compare that to the going price on Amazon, $499, or Newegg, $499, $420 is a pretty good deal. There is a lot of stuff on this written on this box, so let's take a look at some of it. It says 250 watts times 7 channels, but then underneath it 6 ohms, 1 kilohertz, 10%, 2 channels driven. THX certified select, okay. Dolby Atmos and DTS-X, those are the latest forms of surround sound. Next generation network audio for streaming via Chromecast built in. FlareConnect Multi-room audio distribution. AccuEQ Room Calibration, I like that. Zone 2 HDMI. I'm not sure where Zone 2 is going to be. And Zone 3 audio capable. I'm not sure where Zone 3 would be. 384 kilohertz 32-bit low distortion audio DAC. Control system integration. Infrared RS-232. That would be a COM port. RJ45 would be the Ethernet port. Here's a diagram of the back of the stereo. THX, THS Select, Dolby Atmos, DTS-X, high-res audio, Dolby Vision dynamic audio amplification, 384 kilohertz, 32-bit, AccuEQ, HDMI, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, iPod, iPhone, iPad. I'm Android. Airplay, Spotify, Play-Fi, Chromecast built in, FlareConnect. Looking at this side of the box, part of it's been covered up with a shipping label. This is a little disappointing to me. I would rather have them ship this a box within a box instead of just slapping a shipping label on the actual Onkyo box. And you can see why on this side where there was some damage here. Hopefully this damage is just superficial, just the box itself, and there's nothing damaged inside. We will see. And here's everything in Spanish. Fragile, handle with care. Okay, let's see what we got here. Something in this package. Have some kind of ad. Another ad for speakers. Manual in 2 different languages. Quick start guide, which I'll be using today. Safety, precautions, disclaimers. Stuff about the built-in Chromecast. Product registration and warranty, and I will be registering this product. This looks like an AM antenna. Alright, this is interesting. This is a calibration microphone. Alright, with this calibration microphone, you set this in your optimal listening location. The receiver will send signals through the speakers and calibrate the equalization for those speakers. This is an FM antenna, and batteries for the remote, which I have not found yet. Okay, here is the remote for the receiver. I like this. The power cable disconnects. It is not a grounded cable. That's okay. I'm going to back the camera off a little bit here. I have to say, this is a handsome receiver. It is pretty nice looking. It has a pull down front panel with a front HDMI. Smallish buttons. That light came on when I plugged it in. That is a good sign. I'm going to hit power. Checking out the back of the receiver, I've never owned a receiver with this many inputs and outputs. There are 6 HDMI inputs on the back and another one on the front. There are 2 HDMI outs. Of course, this is a 7.2 surround sound receiver, so you have a pair of front speakers, a center channel, surround back, height channel, and then there's zone 2 outputs. The subwoofer has line level outputs, and you also have line level outputs for the various surrounds. Here's the RCA audio in section, and there is a phono input, which is something that I wanted. I'm happy that there are 2 component video inputs and 2 composite video inputs. There's digital in via coax and 2 digital in via optical cable, USB port, Ethernet port, and of course Wi-Fi, and there's antennas to help pick up the Wi-Fi signal. Eventually I plan to put this Onkyo receiver where this Sony receiver is, but because this receiver is taller and I need to make sure I have proper ventilation, I'm going to have to lower this shelf to make this fit there. But that's okay. I want it on the top shelf for now because I'm going to be trying different configurations out, and this will give me easier access to the back of the unit. My old Sony receiver only has component and S-video inputs, no HDMIs. So this is only being used as a surround amplifier. All the switching is being done with my television. That's going to change when I switch to this Onkyo. My Onkyo is capable of 7.2 surround, but this is only hooked up for 5.1 surround. So I'm just going to move these speaker terminals up here and do 5.1 with the new Onkyo to begin with. While we're at it, let's hook the HDMI up to the TV set. I'm going to go ahead and hook Ethernet up to this receiver. This is not my first Onkyo. I used to own a TX NR535. It had about half the power, but it also had a very basic menu structure, whereas this one, they've really improved the menu design as far as setting up the receiver. So let's go through this and set it up. There we go, 5.1. I will be hooking a subwoofer up. For now, I'm not going to buy amp, but I like the fact that I can. I'll keep that in mind for later. I got 8 ohm speakers, which is not an option for some reason. Well, I discovered one thing. I have surround right and surround left reversed. Now that my receiver's hooked up to my home network, I'm going to try to do a firmware update. Not exactly lightning quick, but I have time. It just jumped from 9% to 50%. I currently have the TV on, but I'm not getting any audio. Well, I switched to optical audio input, and I now have audio, but I want the audio return channel on the HDMI to work, so I'm going to look into that and see if I can't get that fixed. Not sure why I'm getting this no signal warning. I certainly hear it. Keep switching to HDMI 3 for some reason. And when I go to HDMI 2, it pauses my Blu-ray. When I play my Blu-ray, it goes to HDMI 3. I'm going to try switching to HDMI 3 on the back of the TV. And I'm going to try to play my Blu-ray.
Mom, this is Richard Chu.
She just thinks you're some like...
Okay, the Roku
is a
is
continent
working.
of contrasts with ancient landscapes.
Next, I'm going to check my Homeworks box, which is a tuner / DVR. Alright, I get a splash screen. Not sure what's up with this, but I cannot get my Homeworks tuner / DVR to do anything. Actually, next thing I want to try is the FM antenna that came with this. There are better antennas I can use for FM reception than this one, but this will do okay if I pin it up to the wall. One of the reasons I chose this model is that it has a Phono Preamp built in, so I would be negligent if I didn't at least try to see how well it works. My subwoofer is located pretty much on the opposite side of the room. I'll be using this 50-foot RCA patch cable to go from my subwoofer outs to my subwoofer way on the other side of the room. I've mounted this microphone that came with the receiver on a tripod. I'm going to position this in my optimal listening position and plug it in and let the AccuEQ do its job. This is a 4K TV set. This is the only 4K source I have, a Goobangdoo XB3. So I'm going to hook this up through the receiver and see what kind of signal I get on the television. The Goobangdoo XB3 has quite a few resolution settings. It's currently set to 2160p 30 Hz, another name for 4K. Alright, I have a 4K file. The remote on my Onkyo has an I button, that's info, and if I hit it, the first screen tells me the audio information, and the second screen tells me the video information. It says what the source is called, which input I'm using. It's 4K at 30 Hertz. So there you go. One of the important features for me is this front HDMI port, which is important for games like this one. The Atari Flashback 9 is 720p. Plugging a different HDMI cable into my Homeworks unit now has this tuner / DVR working. I am curious about the resolution of it. And it's 1080p, 60 Hertz. One thing about this receiver that disappointed me slightly is the Chromecast built in. You might think it has features like this, or at least like this, but the Chromecast built in this receiver is audio only. So if you want a Chromecast video, you will need an outboard Chromecast. I've barely scratched the surface on this Onkyo receiver. There's a lot more stuff buried in those menus. I can send signals to other zones, other parts of my house. I can use Bluetooth, which I haven't tested yet. There's just a whole lot more to it, but this video is starting to get a little bit long, so I'm gonna stop it here. If you want more information about this receiver, say so in the comments and I can do another video about it. Thank you to my patrons for supporting this channel. Any small pledge will help keep ThriftyAV going, and remember, stay thrifty everyone.